Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, everybody. From Heilman and Haver to you and yours. I hope you guys are having a wonderful, relaxing, safe, and healthy holiday season. We wanted to wrap up this year with a special In the Mix, talking about holiday and Christmas movies. And as kind of a follow-up to our interview that posted on Monday with Jeremy Arnold, author, historian.
Yeah, I hope you had a chance to watch the podcast. Jeremy is a wealth of knowledge for all things classic movies, and this collection is it's not exhaustive, and Jeremy will admit that himself, but it's 30 of the best movies for what he really feels is encapsulates the Christmas spirit, and it uses Christmas as almost a character in and of itself. So you're going to see stuff all the way back to the 40s. In fact, half the movies featured in the book are from the 40s. It was a big decade for Christmas movies, as one can imagine, all the way up through Love Actually. So there's something in there for everyone, and we've got a list of our top 5 each, so top 10 films with a little overlap from the book that we'll be discussing here in a few minutes.
Yeah, if you are a fan of just films in general, Christmas films especially, that genre, you will absolutely love this book. We recommend you go out and pick one up.
And as you'll also see, we've got a copy here of The Essentials Volume 2, 52 More Must-See Movies and Why They Matter. Jeremy was gracious enough to send us a copy of that as well, so that one's going to be up for grabs. For one lucky person on Christmas Day, we're going to take subscribers through the 24th of December, so get on and subscribe below on YouTube or wherever fine podcasts are found, and you'll be entered to win.
Enter early enough, and the more places you're entered,
that's
the
right.
more places you subscribe, the more chances you have to win.
Not just for voting anymore.
That's right, that's right. Not just for Chicago.
A couple of fun things going on holiday-wise. To start with, a few episodes back, we talked to Scott Breitbarth. He is a director and an artist and dance instructor, just a man of many hats here in the Kitsap area. And most recently has been doing an amazing video production for Bainbridge Ballet. They're doing a digital online stream version of The Nutcracker 2020. So this is The Nutcracker like you've never seen it before. And with COVID and the shutdown, I'm pretty amazed at what they were able to do with this show. So it's available on Vimeo right now. You can stream it or you can purchase it and own it for good. And just go to their website, Bainbridge Ballet, or you can find it on their Facebook page, and there'll be a link to Vimeo, and you can watch it live as of today. So hope you enjoy that. Go out and support these local artists. They work really hard, especially with everything going on with COVID, and really put together quite a production. And thanks to Scott for his time with us, and congrats on an amazing show.
Additionally, if you remember one of our earlier episodes, we interviewed Michael Goodnow of and at the Roxy Theater, which was a fantastic interview. Yeah. They're doing, the Historic Roxy Theater is doing a fundraiser, Gift Warmth Hat Drive at the Roxy Theater. Drop-off times are, well, today, 23rd, this is coming out the 23rd, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Roxy. So if you get a chance to swing by and you've got some hats to donate, that would be wonderful. Beanie-style hats, anything to keep some folks warm during the winter.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And the Roxy's not even open and operating right now, but they're looking out for their neighbors over there in Bremerton. So it's worth getting out and supporting them.
So on to the In the Mix segment.
My favorite part.
What we're doing here is what's a better holiday drink than eggnog, and what's better with eggnog than any number of types of alcohol. So,
and we have here any number of types of alcohol.
So we're going to try a bunch, and we're going to see which ones we like, which are our favorites. Some I've had before, some I have not. Mm-hmm. We're going to start here with, while we're talking about kind of what because we're going to talk about our top 5 lists of films. Maybe while I'm doing this, Matt, you're going to talk about what you thought about when you were putting your list together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Things like that. And this is Bourbon and Sherry with eggnog, as I break everything behind the bar here.
Yeah, so again, we had a great time interviewing Jeremy Arnold, and we would also encourage you to go out and, if you use Twitter, find him on Twitter and follow his feed. Tons of great stuff. He works exhaustively with TCM, and he's a prolific writer. Everything classic movies. So if you're a movie lover, you can find him at JT_Arn, so at JT_ARN. And you can find the books at shop.tcm.com/books, or search his name, Jeremy Arnold. Again, December 21st show, so it's our 9th show. You can get on our page, podbean.heilmanandhaver.com, and you can look at that interview and enjoy it right along with us. So we went through his book, There's 30 classic movies, there's some modern movies, and there's stuff in there that I remember from childhood, there's stuff that I hadn't seen, there's stuff that I want to see, and there's some stuff that came out in recent years that I really enjoyed. So I feel like I grabbed a lot of comedies. A lot of the movies I was attracted to have comedic aspects to them, even if they weren't billed as comedies or maybe weren't received as comedies. But we'll get to that here in a minute. So.
Yeah, and on the same lines, first of all, cheers.
That is delicious.
That is good.
Yeah. So what is this again?
This is
bourbon and brandy.
And sherry.
Oh, excuse me, sherry.
Yep.
Not two that I would consider mixing frequently.
And
but
I've had bourbon, but I've never added the sherry before. It actually gives it a nice little finish.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, they blend really well together.
So, when I was going through the book, it was kind of the same thing. Movies I remember. The Christmas Story. I had. that was my first play that I was in, so I've got a little bit of an attraction to that one. But yeah, anything from some classics, some that I had just dialed through, the channels and saw and watched. Right. I didn't even know were Christmas movies until I watched them. But he's runs the gamut. Yeah, comedy, drama, westerns.
Yeah, a little of everything. And his writing style is just really easy to read. To get 30 into a book this size, you've got to be pretty concise. And even the films I hadn't seen, after reading the 2 or 3 pages he dedicated to each one, and so there's some great photographs in there, and I felt like I'd seen it. Mm-hmm. Lots of some good trivia, background about production, any awards, things like that. And we'll share some of that stuff as we go through our list. But yeah, excellent book, and we were really pleased to have him join us from sunny LA all the way. Thankfully, we have the ability to talk to people all the way across the world via Zoom, so it's a necessary evil, but it was a great show, I thought. Really enjoyed it.
Definitely enjoyed it, and he's promised to come back on. So
yeah,
we talked about his other book.
And we might as well just spill the beans now. If you want to win these two, again, just get on and subscribe, and you'll be entered, and it'll be announcing our winner on the 25th again. So just a quick reminder to do that. Click below to subscribe or wherever you get your podcasts, and you can win both of these.
All right,
and you'll enjoy them.
So what we've done is we've compiled our list of top 5s without talking to each other. Nope. We kind of matched them up the other day and found we had a few in common. So what we decided to do was, as we go through our rounds here, I'm going to talk about my others, which are the ones that we didn't have in common. There are 3 of them. Matt's going to do the same with his. And then we're going to talk about the ones we have in common, and then kind of our feature Christmas film. Mm-hmm. That we really want to dive into in a little bit. So, for my part, for my others, I am going to move over to spiced rum. This is Kraken spiced rum, and for you hockey fans excited about the Kraken coming to Seattle. So let's
get some room here.
Little eggnog. I don't know what's worse for us, the eggnog or the.
So this might be the easiest recipe that we've ever presented.
Yeah.
Eggnog and a mixer.
Yep.
I guess the eggnog is the mixer. Did you ever go to family Christmas parties and have your parents tell you not to touch the eggnog? I remember there was a few at my grandparents' house that somebody might have got to before I got there.
I had a pretty small family. It was just my immediate family, mom, dad, brother, and sister. And we didn't really have many family Christmas parties. They were both only children, so I had no aunts, uncles, anything like that. So kind of a small-ish party. So there wasn't a ton of eggnog.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, exactly.
Got a couple of wily cousins, I think, probably. Just mix some rum in there. Mm-hmm. Also makes extremely smooth.
It does. I like the other one better.
Yeah, I think so. A little bit. They blend a little bit better, and almost like the sherry knocks the edge off the whiskey a little bit, so it's a little bit smoother mixer, but not bad. Kraken mixes with a lot of stuff very easily. Great dark and stormy mixer. Do a Cuba Libre with that, obviously, as well. One of our other favorites. So let's hear about your others, the ones we didn't agree on.
All right. Well, my number 5 on my list, Nightmare Before Christmas. And the thing that I love about this one, it's groundbreaking in so many ways. It's visually, it's groundbreaking. Story-wise, it spans. There's a number of Christmas movies that span multiple holidays. Jeremy's got a few in his book. Meet Me in St. Louis is one. But Nightmare Before Christmas kind of starts out as a Halloween film, but as Jack discovers what Christmas is all about, doesn't understand what it's about, but discovers it's really talks about what the Christmas spirit, as you see him discover what is so nice about Christmas, why there's no scaring, people are happy and giving presents and things like that. You see him start to lighten up. So his heart lightens. He becomes, I think, the embodiment of the Christmas spirit as I see it. As the film goes on, it's a real transformation as he moves through the film. My next one on the list is Shop Around the Corner. And this movie is not only on my list just because it's an enjoyable film, but it's a story about realizing what is right in front of you the whole time. What really drew me to this one is it's actually the inspiration of one of my favorite musicals, She Loves Me. Also the inspiration to You've Got Mail.
Right.
Where you have two people who really almost despise each other.
Absolutely.
End up writing back and forth, or becoming involved in it and falling in love, and it's that realizing what's right in front of you or what's right below the surface. And I think that that story is really what draws it, why it's endured for so many years and so many iterations. Finally, White Christmas is probably my top Christmas film. It's the one that I watch every year. I always watch it Christmas Eve when I'm wrapping presents, because
we watched it last night.
Yeah. There you go.
My wife loves it.
So I'll be watching this Thursday night as I wrap presents, as I always do.
Last minute guy, huh?
That's right.
Yeah.
So anyone who knows me knows I'm a huge Bing Crosby fan.
No.
Who knew, right? So, and I don't think any other actor, singer, crooner, personifies Christmas like Bing. Which is interesting that he didn't originally want to get involved in Christmas stories or music, because as a pop singer at the time,
right,
it wasn't what what one did. So eventually it caught on, and he dove into it, and he was pretty groundbreaking in a lot of things that he did throughout his career. Introducing the laugh track in TV shows and a lot of pioneering things. But he eventually then got into Christmas music and acting, obviously. Bells of St. Mary he was in Holiday Inn, White Christmas are probably the two most known holiday films that he was in.
He just traded out Fred Astaire for Danny Kaye.
Yeah, exactly. Well, some people say that, or consider White Christmas to be almost a sequel or a reimagining of Holiday Inn.
That's one of those Christmas movies for me that I've seen it a million times, so I couldn't quite rank it. I think just because I've seen it so many times, but then again, whenever it's on, I sit down and watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just think it's one of those chemistry between Bing and Danny Kaye. The music is just impeccable. I can't even tell you what my favorite song is. There's Counting Your Blessings. There's Snow. There's obviously White Christmas. So it's the message behind it. It's maybe sometimes it gets lost. It's there, but it's kind of that ride you take through the music and the laughs and the comedy. Is that you have two guys at the beginning who are just kind of looking out for themselves. And right, as the movie progresses, they put that aside and just dedicate everything to their former commander.
Right.
So and set up that kind of celebration for him. So they're missing some opportunities along the way, things like that. Just so it's that transformation. So that's really, I think, another reason why that picture is so enduring. So those are my three others.
Nice. Those are all great ones. My top five, we do have a couple.
Before we do that.
Oh, yes. Next one.
The next round. So with yours.
I was getting so thirsty.
Yeah, I know, right? We're going to try eggnog with Fireball cinnamon whiskey.
Gentlemen, start your engines. Something tells me this will be a good mix with the cinnamon.
I think so, yeah.
Certainly a holiday seasonal type spice.
I don't know that one.
Thank you, Alexa. So, top five here for me. The three that didn't overlap for Greg and I, for me, was Elf, The Apartment, which is one that most people probably wouldn't think of as a Christmas film, but made it in Jeremy's book, and we'll talk about a little bit about why as we progress here. And then my number one, and the movie that Greg has so graciously agreed to dedicate most of this show to, is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. It's the one I watch every year, Christmas Eve. It's become a family tradition, and another one that when we used to just flip through the television, channels, anytime it was on, we watched it. So we'll start with Elf. Elf was made, obviously, to be a Christmas movie, starring Will Ferrell, Bob Newhart, Zooey Deschanel, Jon Favreau directed, Ed Asner, Mary Steenburgen, and James Caan, in a role unlike a lot of Jimmy Caan roles. But anything with Bob Newhart, I'm there first, right off the top. Not only as the narrator, but just the kindly father to Will Ferrell, and I love that role, even though it's a small role. And Bob had something really interesting to say in an interview about Elf. He said, "They sent me a script. I knew Will was doing it, and I think I knew Ed Asner was in it," Newhart said. "I read the script and I said to his wife, Ginny, this is going to be a perennial. This is going to be like Miracle on 34th Street. They're going to be showing this every Christmas, I guarantee." And he is absolutely right. And Favreau set out to make this a movie that people watched every year. It's obviously all Christmas. It's hilarious, it's heartwarming, and I think really it's Will Ferrell at his best. And strangely enough, despite everything he'd done up to that point, it was his first lead. So, and it was a great part for him. The role had originally been written and kind of imagined for Jim Carrey, but totally would have changed the movie, the feel of the movie, because the original design had been also for it to be a little darker, almost making fun of Christmas in a way, and Favreau took it and transformed it into something that would not only be wholesome and really just something that people wanted to go back to every year, but it also really rebuilt the spirit and the morale of the people in New York. It came out in 2003, so 2 years after 9/11, and he really wanted it to be something that the New Yorkers could take pride in and feel good about.
Yeah, I think having Carrie in there, I don't know that his characters are as lovable or as accessible as Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell was just so innocent. He played that so well, and Carrie was a little too manic, maybe.
Yeah.
But it would have been. Would always be curious if we could just wave a magic wand and see these guys in those roles, how much fun they'd be. Because Carrie, again, an incredibly talented guy. The other one on my list, and one that probably wouldn't even make anybody's Christmas list if you ask them, unless you're as knowledgeable and well-read and well-watched as somebody like Jeremy Arnold, is The Apartment. Again, all you have to say for me is Jack Lemmon, and I'm there. Add Billy Wilder, I'm really there. Just think Some Like It Hot. In fact, this film came on the heels of Some Like It Hot in 1960. It won a ton of awards. It was nominated for 10 Oscars, and Billy Wilder was the first person to win 3 Oscars for the same film for this. So Best Picture, Best Director, Best Writing, Story, and Screenplay all went to Wilder that year. It came off as a bit of a comedy, almost a dark comedy, but Lemmon always claimed that it was a drama. It involves a kind of a corporate lackey who decides to put his apartment up and offer it to the higher-ups in his company to use for their trysts and liaisons. And he meets Shirley MacLaine, and they realize they're kind of both in similar situations in life, and they fall in love, and they find just tenderness with each other in the midst of just kind of this crazy, gritty New York. There's a great scene where Jack Lemmon's character is drinking himself into oblivion on Christmas Eve, and a sidewalk Santa walks in to warm himself up with a shot, and Lemmon shoots him this look like, "You're in the wrong movie, pal. There's no place for a happy Santa in this film." And the next scene they cut, and Santa's got his beard off, and he's having some drinks right there next to him. So definitely worth checking out. It was also the last black and white film to win an Oscar until one of your favorites, The Artist, in 2011. Yeah. So just another little tidbit. But so that also brings us to, let's see, what's my last one here? Well, again, National Lampoons. That will be our official last one. So we'll cheers to those amazing films. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's my favorite.
It's good.
Yeah, it tastes like a Jolly Rancher.
Oh, yeah.
Cinnamon Jolly Rancher.
Yeah.
You almost don't even taste the eggnog. That's delicious. But it also tames the heat of the Fireball a little bit. That will warm you up. If there's a St. Bernard running around with a barrel on its neck, that'd be good to have in there.
All right. Well, now it's time for our top three.
Yes.
The two that Matt and I both had in common in our top 5 list, and then our spotlight film, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. So first we're going to talk about Miracle on 34th Street.
Yes.
And for that, we're going to mix our eggnog with dark rum. Use some Bacardi Black for that. So if you want to start talking about Miracle on 34th?
Miracle on 34th Street. So this is going to be the one from the 40s. There's been 2. This is probably the more well-known. It's also a film, much like It's a Wonderful Life, that ended up being extremely popular on television, although this film won a ton of awards when it was released. I don't know about you, but it doesn't get a lot better than Maureen O'Hara for me. I will literally watch her do anything, including
Absolutely.
read the phone book. The most beautiful woman ever to grace the silver screen.
Yeah, the one lady who could share the screen with John Wayne and almost upstage him every time.
Absolutely. Incredibly talented. This movie was a bit controversial because she played a divorcee, and in fact it didn't get a lot of play in certain areas of the country because that was a little too scandalous for the time. But I thought that she portrays this strong, confident, single mother, and then the character, her daughter, she exudes that as well, the Natalie Wood character, as well. As a child, you can see that's, she gets that from mom. Great film for the whole family. It was the first Santa that I ever saw on the screen at all. That was kind of the first introduction to Santa Claus that I ever saw. And the great thing about that movie is that there's really no magic. There's no elves. There's no sleigh. It's just a normal, average, New York Christmas. And here's this guy who says, "Well, I'm him." And it makes the audience wonder. And from
a looks wise, you talk about the first one you've seen. There's so many movies with Santa Clauses that look corny, look fake. Yeah. I mean, this guy looks like what you would think Santa Claus should look like.
Right, and he had the twinkle in his eye.
Yep.
That was Edmund Gwenn. He won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor that year, and then the film itself won Best Story and Screenplay. Speaking of the best-looking Santa, the most believable, little Natalie Wood, her biography said that during the shoot, she was actually convinced that Mr. Gwenn was actually Santa. By all accounts, he was very good-natured, nice to her, and it wasn't until she saw him out of costume without the beard on at the cast party after the movie that she goes, "Oh wait, this isn't really the guy." So believable. He had Natalie Wood convinced too. So
the great thing is, you mentioned there's no magic, there's no specialness to or power, but it's like an allegory though to things that you can't see or maybe even can't describe, whether it's love or faith or something like that. This film dives right into that and shows that, hey, just because you can't see it almost reminds me of another of my favorite movies that didn't make the book, but also but I think a good Christmas film, Polar Express. A good book as well. Mm-hmm. I think the quote there is, sometimes seeing is believing, and sometimes the most real things in the world are the things we can't see. And that's exactly what this film, Miracle on 34th Street, is about. It's because you believe in it. Why is it not? Why doesn't that make it real? It's real to you. So I think that's kind of the magic of the film. There's no Christmas magic. That the film itself, I think, has a little bit of magic.
It's the belief that makes it real.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, another interesting thing about that film is that it was actually one of the first ones to be colorized when they started colorizing old black and white movies in 1985, and it was actually quite controversial when they did that from those purists out there. But I can't imagine there's anybody out there who hasn't seen it. They did a remake. It was probably 20 years ago now. I'm dating ourselves a bit, but this is the one.
The remake was okay.
Yeah,
but it's nothing like the original.
Yep, and it's shot in Macy's, the Macy's Day Parade, so it has every trapping of a classic New York Christmas. There's something inherently Christmassy about New York in the winter. I think it's the stage for so many Christmas movies. I think it has a lot to do with the Macy's. Mm-hmm. That used to be, again, another of our our family traditions.
Yeah.
Watch the Macy's Day Parade.
Our guest in our first show in January, Jason Kinn, who lives in Manhattan, we could speak to that with him. What Christmas is like in the city. I've been there a few times, and Macy's is just the Macy's store windows and just the feeling of being in the city. The interesting thing I think in this is the idea that a Santa Claus would send someone to a different store because something's available. Exactly, yeah, a rival. And the fact that drove up business at Macy's because it's honest, He
wants the kids to get their presents.
Exactly.
Another interesting thing about Gimbals is that that's the name that they used in Elf for the department store. They wanted to use Macy's, but Macy's didn't want to have the scene in there where the Artie Lang Santa, the store Santa, is revealed as being a fake. And you got that great quote, you sit on a throne of lies, from Buddy the Elf. And couldn't have cut that scene. It was very crucial to the film. So they ended up using Gimbals, which was Macy's old main competitor back when Miracle on 34th Street was made. A lot of nods to those old classics in Elf. You go back and watch them. So another reason to read through this book, you'll see a ton of different films that are in the book in something like Elf. A lot of nods to those classics. So what does that bring us to? That brings us to something that I watched literally every Thanksgiving at my grandparents' house. And it wasn't until it hit TV that it really got a strong following, and that is It's a Wonderful Life.
Okay. First off, what did you think of the dark rum?
I don't know. I didn't care for it as much. I like the spice rum better than the dark rum.
Yeah, agreed. It's okay.
I wouldn't, I'm not going to pour it down the drain. Yeah. But, could leave it out for Santa. Right?
That's
wash his cookies down with that.
All right. So for the next one, for It's a Wonderful Life, we are going to do what has been my favorite, Brandy, with eggnog. So I'm gonna
need a refill.
Get a refill here. So with some Brandy. So yeah, It's a Wonderful Life. I think we have. It's one of those that we watch every year. At some point, we haven't this year yet. We've got a couple more days, but it'll be. There's a few that we make sure we watch every year.
Yep.
This is definitely one of them. Like I said, White Christmas is one for me, but this is one that we'll watch as a family every year.
Let's give this a try.
All right.
To It's a Wonderful Life. Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah, this is good.
Little sweetness to that brandy.
Yep.
Yeah, that's tasty. So It's a Wonderful Life, 1946. Again, that's one of those that if you haven't seen it, you've probably been living under a rock. It's on television. Back when people actually had television channels to click through on Thanksgiving every year. And it wasn't... this movie, strangely enough, it didn't win any Oscars. It was nominated for a few. It didn't win any Oscars. It wasn't well received at the box office. And it wasn't until it was syndicated in the 70s, actually, that it started to get a following at all. It became, that perennial favorite on television. People tuned in, and people started to realize that it really was a classic of not only that era of Hollywood, but a Christmas classic.
Yeah, and the fact that people tuned in year after year when it was on, I think for a while the only place you could see it was NBC, and it used to be it's a long movie, but it used to be 4 hours with all the commercials they throw into it.
Yeah.
It was an evening. I mean, you had to spend the entire evening watching this. This is one of these reasons why I'm sometimes happy for streaming, because you can get this without the commercials.
Right.
But I think my point is to the effect that people would sit down and dedicate 4 hours to watching a film with the family just speaks to its enduring qualities.
Well, it is. It's an epic film in that it travels through so many years of George Bailey's life, from childhood to his teen years to college to his adult years. And that's probably part of what made it seem so long as a kid. You're going, wow, this guy grew up. I'm sitting here on grandma's floor watching this on black and white, It was Donna Reed's first starring role, and it was also the first role that Jimmy had when he came back from World War II. The passionate kissing scene on the phone when they're talking to their friend. that was actually, Jimmy was very, very hesitant to do that scene because he was so fresh back from the war. He didn't feel confident. And yet he did it in one take, and it was so steamy that they had to cut portions of it because the censors couldn't handle it. So he pulled it off. Maybe it actually was part of, because he was been away for that long, who knows? Just surrounded by nothing but army, his army buddies. But again, a Frank Capra classic. Capra said it was his favorites, and Jimmy Stewart also said that George Bailey was the favorite character of his career that he was able to play. So.
Yeah, one of the things I love about this, and we talked a little bit about this with Jeremy in the interview. It's got the highest highs and the lowest lows. Yeah. You're at a point in George's life where he's got nothing left. There's no hope. He's about, his only option is to jump off the bridge. And then you've got, at the end, kind of that highest of highs where all the friends and family, and you see the impact that he's had on everybody's life come to bear when they help, get him out of this financial situation. And the fact that the film also didn't have that resolution, except, maybe the SNL lost ending skit.
Yeah, Lionel Barrymore's character, Mr. Potter, he gets away with it, and somehow you're still okay with it because, and I think that, again, like you said, the moral of the story is that life's dark, life's tough, but with friends, just like Clarence's inscription in the book that he gives him at the end, with friends, no man is a failure. Lionel Barrymore, and Jeremy mentioned this as well, Lionel Barrymore was famous for playing Scrooge. He actually played Scrooge for like 20 years before he took this role, and he convinced Jimmy Stewart to take the role of George Bailey. Lionel Barrymore was actually confined to a wheelchair, just like his character, Mr. Potter, because he'd been injured. And that injury had actually precluded him from playing Scrooge in the film version in 1938 of A Christmas Carol. So
interesting.
Yeah. It's actually been ranked the #1 most inspirational movie of all time by AFI. And that was in 2006, so I don't think anything's probably topped it since 2006. Yeah. Again, it didn't win any Oscars. It did poorly at the box office, which is still so staggering looking back on it. But one of my favorite scenes, and I watched it today as a kid. It has me in stitches every time, is when he is just literally at the end of his rope. He comes home, the $8,000 is gone, Zuzu's sick, and he gets the phone call from her teacher, and he just goes, Mrs. Welsh, and he just goes off on her. Silly, stupid people send my kids home without any clothes. And then Mr. Welch gets on the phone. Let me tell you what I really think about your wife. It's just every time. And the other great scene I love is when they're in the bank, and there's the run on the bank, and the little old lady's standing there, and everybody's asking for all their money, hundreds of dollars, and she says, "Could I have $17.50?" Mm-hmm. And he I don't know if they hadn't announced it or if he didn't announce it to her, but he just lays a big old kiss right on her, and that reaction you get is just so natural, and it was not in the script at all.
I have used that scene to describe how credit unions work to people for so many years. What happens when you deposit money into a bank or a credit union? Well, it goes here, and this money goes here. So it's not it's so that's even beyond Christmas that film.
Another cool tidbit about that is the scene where they're throwing the windows at the old, I wouldn't live in there if I was a ghost, the old house they end up living in. Donna Reed played baseball as a youth, and they had a sharpshooter waiting when they're throwing rocks at the windows to take the window out, and she nailed the window the first try with that rock. So she didn't need the help of the rifleman standing by to take it out. And the snow was made of cornflakes.
Really?
Yeah, the snow was made of cornflakes, and it was the largest or the longest set that had ever been built. So Bedford Falls. You remember when he's running through the snow and Merry Christmas, old building and lawn. I think that, like you said, the lows are so low that I don't know if there's another movie that at the end you feel such a sense of relief and happiness for the characters than It's a Wonderful Life.
Despite Lionel Barrymore's character not getting what he deserved.
Yeah. Yep, and if you want to know how it really ended, get on YouTube and look up the SNL ending of It's a Wonderful Life. You'll get a couple of laughs out of that. You get to see Dana Carvey playing the role of George Bailey, so pretty funny.
Yes, definitely.
But yeah, that's a classic. Generally and for our family, and for good reason.
Well, to me it's like ripples in the water. I mean, everybody's got an impact on everybody else's life, and it goes on and on and on, and this shows that every little action you have, even if you don't notice what it does right then, down the line that's going to impact somebody, and make good choices, and it'll come to benefit you, someone else down the line. It's a lot of good lessons in this film.
It's a good moral for 2021, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Everything we do affects others.
Absolutely.
Right. So wear those masks. Greg and I, we're brothers. We're together all the time.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so this brings us to it, right?
That's the big boy.
Okay.
And we got our special mugs, our Wally World mugs. Special for this final drink. Cheers. All right, so cheers to National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Okay.
Our final movie of this episode of In the Mix. So
for this, we are using Peppermint Schnapps.
Yes.
Which I've never had. I've heard good things. Peppermint Schnapps
I have, and I've also heard good things. Not even measuring. We're at that point in the show. Free pour.
There we go.
All right. So, I don't know. Funniest of the list of 30. It's in the book. Most fun, quirkiest.
I'd say funniest.
Funniest, yeah.
Yeah, and I'd say there's so many scenes in this that, and it's what was really good about the original Vacation as well. My family used to go on long vacations. My family at Christmases, my dad would decorate the house with lights, and the lights would just, you'd blow fuses. I mean, everything you can imagine. We didn't have the squirrel in the tree, but so many things that happened with the Griswolds happened to either our family or your family or somebody's family.
Yep. That
makes it really relatable and really, they say it's funny because it's true, right?
Right. And it's almost like it harkens to a movie that was made a few years later, Home Alone, where the house itself is almost the enemy. There's everything that can go wrong does go wrong. And not only just with the house and the lights and everything, but with the family itself. It's just complete dysfunction, and who hasn't been able to identify with that? You've got relatives that are coming you'd rather not see, and it's just insanity. A John Hughes film, and if you watched one of our last In the Mixes a couple shows ago, we talked about Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, another just hysterical John Hughes creation. And he wrote this. This is actually based on a story called Christmas '59 that John Hughes wrote to be published in National Lampoons magazine. So came directly from the original National Lampoons magazine. So these, yes, the mugs themselves. Everybody knows the mugs from the scene where Clark and Cousin Eddie are drinking and around the Christmas tree. And they're actually a nod to Marty Moose from the original National Lampoons. So yep. Marty Moose was kind of the stand-in for Mickey Mouse. They got all the way to Wally World and couldn't get in, and Clark just unloads right on Marty.
Because the moose out front should have told him.
Well, exactly right, So, and that was it was 1983, I think is when that film came out. A lot of notable people in this movie. Something I didn't know, Aunt Bethany, who can't hear and recites the Pledge of Allegiance instead of saying the prayer. Mary Kestel, she actually invented the voices of Betty Boop and Olive Oil back in the 30s, so that was her original claim to fame. And of course, you had Julie Louis-Dreyfus, pre-Seinfeld, Juliette Lewis, Johnny Galecki, who went on to do Big Bang Theory, Brian Doyle Murray, not Murphy, excuse me. Let's try that again. Brian Doyle Murray, as in Bill Murray's brother, one of his 7. And Doris Roberts, who went on to play Marie Barone, and Everybody Loves Raymond. Mm-hmm. So just a ton of people, and it's all those dysfunctional family members that get together, and of course Randy Quaid. I think was probably, like, I agree with Jeremy. I think he was born to play that role of Cousin Eddie.
Yeah.
So, any favorite quotes from the film?
Well, the one I use all the time is, "It's a good quality item, Clark."
Right.
I mean, I use that when talking about anything and everything, whether in kind of a tongue-in-cheek or seriously. when I'm talking about somebody getting a gift or whatever. That's a good quality item.
I think that you can. Again, we've mentioned Julia Louis-Dreyfus talk about Seinfeld, a show that entered common parlance. All these the yada 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 and all these funny phrases. That I think you can really tell the impact and the success of a show by how much it becomes part of pop culture and how many quotes you hear, things like that. And this movie definitely qualifies. Another really interesting thing that kind of harkens back to It's a Wonderful Life is you'll remember after Clark cuts down the replacement Christmas tree, he comes down the stairs and he finds the newel post is loose and he just takes it off with the chainsaw. Well, you remember Jimmy Stewart in It's a Wonderful Life, he comes down, that newel, it's always loose and he just sets it back down.
Yep.
So you see a lot of that. The newer ones are paying homage to the older ones, and again, I think that speaks to a lot of these classic films and the way they impacted the actors and the producers and the directors that made the ones that from recent days.
Well, additionally, Frank Capra's grandson was the assistant director of Christmas Vacation.
And when all the family members arrive at the front door, you do hear It's a Wonderful Life. It's actually showing on the television. You can see little clips. So yeah, Frank Capra's grandson, Frank Capra III was assistant director. So I gotta say, I wrote down a ton of different quotes. This is a family show, so I'm gonna leave a couple.
Yeah, there's the one quote that everybody knows. So we don't have to. Yeah. The quote that should not be quoted.
Yeah.
Here, but
I gotta go. The best scene in that movie, the funniest scene is when he's at the lingerie counter. That just it has me in stitches every time. Chevy Chase is so good at playing that. Again, Jeremy Arnold talked about that. A lot of the reason these guys like Chase and Jimmy Stewart and even people like say Tim Allen in the Santa Claus, a movie that didn't make the book but came close. They're just everymen. They're just normal guys dealing with life, dealing with jobs, dealing with depression, dealing with family. And I think Chase really just captures that. He's just that frazzled dad, that frazzled parent at Christmas. And so I got to go, wouldn't be the holiday shopping season if the stores are any hotter than they are. that one clip. So many great quotes.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned the everyman thing, and I'd asked Jeremy during the interview about, one of us asked him whether we saw, I think it was you actually, on second thought, that asked him about have movies come from kind of the Christmas miracle thing to more of a secular thing. Mm-hmm. I think when you talk about movies like this, movies like The Santa Claus, you see more of hey, anybody can be a Santa Claus, whether it is Santa Claus or kind of an analogy to Santa Claus. I think you're seeing more of that. I mean, you're seeing everyday people become heroes of these movies, and I think that's a lot of what we're getting these days, more so than not just religious stuff, because you still have some of that, but more of away from the Christmas miracles and the fact that we've all got this inside of us to be these heroes or these Santa Clauses.
Right. Yeah. And of course the importance of family and friends. It always comes down to that. Clark, he's at his last straw at the end. Jelly the Month Club, all that, kidnapping his boss. But he realizes it really comes down to the people that are around him. So cheers to that.
Definitely.
And cheers to a great, partial year. It hasn't even been 1 year, but we're looking forward to a new year on Heilman and Haver. 2021 has great promise, and we've got some really great things, some exciting things coming up in the new year for us. We're glad that you're a part of it. We want to thank all of our listeners, thank all of our viewers. Thanks for tuning in and letting us be silly and have drinks and share them with you. And we just hope that you'll continue listening, share the podcast, share the videos with a friend, and make sure to join us in the new year. We're going to take a week off, and then we'll be back at it January 8th for a whole new series of interviews. And we've got so many great people to interview that we are going to weekly. So now you're stuck with us every week. Heilman and Haver, every Friday. Tune in. We're going to have a new show for you, and we're really excited to be able to make that announcement.
Yep,
here.
And we're spanning the globe, so we're not, we're going to still cover local things to Kitsap and the Seattle area, but we're going to go chase some people down, like we did with Jeremy, like we did with Sarah Summers in California, Running Man down in Orlando.
Yeah.
So stay tuned and see what we have in store, because I think you'll really like it.
Yeah. Happy holidays, Greg.
Happy holidays, man.
Merry Christmas. And to all of you as well, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in 2021. Be safe and stay healthy.
Cheers.
I think that's my favorite.
That's good.
Yeah.
I hadn't had that before.
See you, everybody.